Welcome to the Community Collective Podcast, a flip-flop agent production in collaboration with the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce. I am your host, Johnny B. Good.
Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the Community Collective Podcast. I am Travis Howell, the Executive Director of the Davison Area Chamber. And once again, my wonderful co-host, Johnny B. Good, the flip-flop agent, is unavailable. He is deciding to feed his family and sell some homes today. But I am very lucky. I get to join one of my good friends and when someone is very involved in our community, Michael Barrette with Mika Systems. Michael, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good. How has your day been going so far? What have you been up to at first?
So far, pretty good. Getting ready. We have a client that is out of state, getting ready to head down there over the weekend. So trying to get everything prepped and ready to be gone for a couple days.
Yeah, and I know every time I stop in and talk with you or bump into you someplace, it seems like there's always something going on and you're always busy. But I do think what we're getting ready to talk about today is going to be really fascinating for our community just because they see your storefront, but they might not know everything that your business is involved with. So first, let's start off with the nice, easy question that everyone is always interested in. What is your background? What is your education? How did you get
Sure.
into this technology field?
Well, it's actually a kind of a funny story. My background is actually in medical, believe it or not. Started off as a medical assistant, moved into working in a medical lab, was doing phlebotomy where we draw blood. And eventually that led to me working more with the lab technicians, running some testing, and ultimately I'd be the one that would have to enter data into the computers. Fast forward a few years, and I had actually ended up working for the company that wrote the computer software for that lab. I'd always been into computers from home, had dabbled a little bit here and there, and they hired me as a programmer. It did not take long for me to realize I was a horrible programmer. Definitely not something that was in my wheelhouse. But I ended up moving and doing all of their installs for them. They specialized in medical billing and laboratory management systems. Once I realized I couldn't hack it as a programmer, I moved into installing their systems, which then eventually led me into network operations, network security, system management. My background for the last 20 plus years has been mostly Microsoft certification and Cisco certification, now mostly dealing with network management and business management.
Really? Wow. So I talk about an interesting and fascinating way to
Oh, yeah.
move from one area of the medical lab area to doing data entry to
Yep.
installs. So talk about a wide variety right there alone.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It was a interesting migration. Ironically, I have a college degree now for computers, but I actually didn't get that until I was 10 plus years into the field.
I think that is a great example right there that there are so many opportunities for people and especially younger individuals to understand that there's a lot of ways to get trained and to get a skill that doesn't always require a college degree right away. It's something you can pursue later, but I think it's a good example of a lot of opportunities that are out there for being very successful in a business.
And right now, everything is about the skilled trade. That's where a lot of the jobs are. And for that type of jobs, whether it be computers or HVAC or anything on that skills side, having the practical experience, having industrial certifications is far more important to people hiring than actual college degrees, which are more of a generic type of thing. Matter of fact, the only reason I went back to get the college degree is I started getting into teaching
Oh,
and to get
really?
any kind of
Yeah.
teaching. Yeah, 'cause for a while I was teaching computer sciences and network engineering for a couple different schools, and they all wanted college degrees, obviously.
Okay. Yeah. So the next question is
Hmm.
one that probably a lot of people don't know about in our community and will need a little bit of explanation. So we know that your store downtown, the cell phone repair also you have something else called Mika Systems. What is
Yes.
Mika Systems?
And yeah, thank you. Because a lot of people don't realize this, but Micah Systems has actually been around since 1988. We started off as a computer servicing company. At the time, they were doing programming and network engineering and small business management, this whole variety of different services. I worked for Micah as an employee at first and ran their network side, their computer side of the business. Fast forward up until 2012, we had a lot of our clients asking us to start doing cell phones because cell phones were really coming out on the market. They were taking over everything, and there was nobody really out there fixing them. So, because
Really?
we were
Okay.
quote unquote the IT department for small to mid sized businesses, our customers wanted to know, hey, who do we take these newfangled devices to get them fixed? And we were in the same boat as them. We couldn't find anyone decent. Matter of fact, there was one company at the time down in Troy that actually fixed cell phones. And me and another guy that was working there at the time said, you know what? How hard can this be? We'll do it ourselves. Now, at the time, Micah was down in Southfield and I lived up here in Davison and had been commuting back and forth. So I opened a store called Wireless Repair Zone right over on Davison Road. And we did cell phone repairs. My kids would work there during the day. I would come in the evenings and do the bulk of the repairs.
Okay.
Now, we moved downtown on Main Street as soon as we could find a spot here, probably about 6 or 7 years ago now. And by then, the store had grown. Micah had decided to sell off the company. So at that point, I actually bought it from the owners because by then, Micah had shrunk down to only doing the IT management. My side of my division of it was the only thing left. So I bought that from them when they decided to retire and moved it up here. So Micah has always been, and it still is the core business. But no one even knows we're here. We're behind the scenes. We're in the back of the store, so to speak. Actually, literally in the back of the store. Um, and then we are known as cell phone repair because probably about 4 years ago, we joined the CPR franchise, which is a nationwide franchise. And that
Okay.
gives us access to a lot of the Apple certifications, the Apple technicians. It gives us access to a lot of the warranty claims. So there's a lot of advantages to being part of that franchise, national warranty, all of that kind of stuff. But we're in a unique position from a lot of the other CPR stores or other cell phone stores, because again, our core business has always been that Micah side of the house. And that gives us a lot more leeway on the CPR side. So we can offer a lot of services that a lot of the other places just can't do. And a lot of the things we don't have to charge our customers for because it's not our core business.
Yeah. And I know I have been in your business for cell phone repairs and you guys do a wonderful job. But when I started learning about what else you offer, and I've had opportunity for you to show me around, I was just
Mhm.
amazed. Right here in downtown Davison, it's a business that is operating in a whole new level on technology side. And I was just fascinated 'cause I don't know that much about it. And I'm the least technology savvy person you'll meet sometimes. So it is something unique that's in the Davison community. So that's a good question. And what helped you decide to bring it to Davison? And when did you officially come to Davison?
We came to, again, the wireless repair zone started in 2012. So that's when we officially say that side of the business open. Micah, we still say was established in 1988, but Micah actually moved up here to Davison probably right around 2018, 2019, somewhere in there is when we shut down the offices down in Southfield and moved everything here. Currently, we only have 3 employees, and most of them work right here in the back of the store. We actually have a little miniature data center here, meaning we host servers, we run web pages out of here. It's not our main focus of our business, but for example, the Davison Schools web page runs out of here. We do it for Village of Grass Lake, for the Davison DDA, different sites like that. We run right out of here, as well as hosting services and servers for some of our clients that don't really
Okay.
have servers of their own.
Wow. You think right there, something that people use every single day through the Davison Community School is something that is hosted and help being managed right here, which is good, which makes sense. Shop local, support local. Right there's a great example. Michael, that leads us into something that's probably a really big topic and covers two questions that we're looking at. One,
Sure,
you kind of explain what areas Micah Systems services, but what are you seeing through the technology side of Micah
sure.
and other areas that maybe is like technology safety or security issues or scams that we need to be aware of? What there's so much
Yeah.
going on in the community and nation that everybody needs to be self-conscious about what is going on. And you're probably the best person to talk to because you're seeing it every single day.
Oh, absolutely. And we see it both on the business side from Micah as well as the individual side on from the CPR from our retail customers. But mostly what Micah does to answer that first part of the question, again, I mentioned that we're the IT department for small to mid-sized businesses. And what that means is we'll come into a business and we'll install clients on all their machines. And this is all free of charge. And with those clients, we can monitor or manage their computers. So they call us when they have a problem. They're only paying us when they have a problem or need to call us. But then we can remotely look at their machine, see what's going on, assist them with their problem, where they're not having to, number one, find an IT person to come out or pay them to figure out their environment because we're already monitoring all that for them. And then from there, they can add on services such as if they want email, we resell it through Microsoft. Do they want spam protection? Do they want different antivirus protection? Do they want all of these type of add-ons that we can do as services that we just simply resell from some of the industry leaders in those fields? And we can add it on and manage it for them so they don't have to have 20 different providers they're dealing with it. It all's handled through us. But that actually led us into what we're doing more and more of, and what I'll get into talking about here in a second, which is the security side. And when I say security, yes, we do cameras and some stuff like that. They're certainly not a security company. I'm talking mostly cybersecurity because this is where we're seeing the largest need out there. Whether it be a small business of 2 or 3 employees or large firm, cyber security, scams, ransomware, these type of things are what is affecting a lot of businesses there, and what I want to talk about. What we're seeing on the personal side, and this is good information to get out there and good information for any of the listeners here to not only know themselves, but to communicate to their friends and family. We see a huge number of people come into our store that got hit with scams. And when you think about it, we're a small store in Davison, so it's not a huge town, and we're one store. We get probably 2 to 3 people a month that come into our store with the computers that just fell victim to a scam. And we're talking people that have lost anywhere from 15 to $40,000. So these are not minor things.
Oh,
And when you
yeah.
think
Wow.
about that number, 2 to 3 people a month in just our one store. And those are the people that, number one, are willing to admit that they fell victim to a scam and then bring the computer to us to have it fixed after the fact, that just don't throw it away and forget the whole thing. So you think about what those numbers must really be of the people falling victim, and it's huge. National statistics say that 1 in 10 Americans will fall victim to a scam every year. And when you think of that, everybody has gotten contact, whether they know it or not, with some kind of scams. As a matter of fact, we do classes once a month up at Journey Ministry. So the quick little plug-in for that, they're the first Monday of
Yes.
every month from 11 to usually about 1 or 2. They're completely free for people to come to. And our most popular one was talking about these scams like this. Because what we see whether it be an email that you get or a message that you get saying, hey, we just successfully renewed your subscription to fill in the blank for $587. If this is an error, please call us at this number. Guess what? That's a scam. When you call that number, they're going to want to get on your computer to give you a refund. They'll hop on your computer remotely because they'll direct you to a web page and take remote access to your machine. And from there, they'll pretend, the keyword being pretend, to give you a refund. Except for when they do the refund, instead of doing $283.22, they'll admit that decimal point. And then all of a sudden they're screaming, going, "Oh my God, look what you've just done. You've given yourself a refund for $20,000. We're going to call the police on you. We're going to have you arrested." The idea is they keep you so excited and so on edge that you don't have time to think about it. Next thing, they're logging into the bank account with you to verify that you just gave them a $20,000 refund. And now they have access to your bank account and they wipe it out. And I know it sounds ridiculous, you and I just talking here about it, but it happens. That's our most common one that we get caught with. Or it'll pop up in your computer saying you have a virus, and if you want this virus cleaned, call this phone number. You don't actually have a virus. It's just a web page that you're at to make it look like it's a virus. But people do it. People call that number and they fall victim to that same scam over and over again.
I want to keep building on this conversation too with your classes you're offering at Journey Ministries. Is this also teaching people to be aware of these type of scams? It's teaching them how to handle, to go through that process. And how do people learn more about when these classes are offered, or can they even stop by your shop, your
Have them
business?
stop by our store here, right? We're right on Main Street, right next to the Davison Home Bakery. So we're really easy to find. We also post on our Facebook page whenever we have a class. The last one we just did, because of the holidays, we just did it this past Monday. It was on how to use your computer. So every month is something different. I think the one for next month is going to be talking about Microsoft Office and how to use it, and also the Google suite, because Google has a suite that's like the Office program.
Okay.
So every month
So,
we try to do something different, but we can also talk about whatever they want to talk about, whatever's on your mind.
right. Because obviously the scams, 1 in 10
Oh yeah,
Americans will
it's
have some type of scam. And I think we've all seen some version of them, whether it's in our email. You make the
oh yeah.
joke of, here, I'm a long lost relative, you've inherited this much money. But sometimes
Well,
they're not that obvious, I'm sure.
oh no,
Yeah.
and now unfortunately, with everyone's heard of AI, it's all over the news. With AI being as advanced as it is, we've all seen where the Hollywood studios can take and fake a voice, your picture, or make someone younger on camera. That's all computer generated. They can take, say, if you have your own voicemail or you do a recording and put up on Facebook, or Travis, you're in trouble because how much of your voice is out there on the internet? All they
Right. I know.
need is about 30 seconds. Yeah. 30 seconds of your voice. They can take that and create a computer recording of you that can
Wow.
have you saying whatever they want you to say. It's completely computer generated. So they can then call your friends and family, which they can get that information right off Facebook and get your contacts. They can
Right.
call your friends and family going, "Hey, I've been kidnapped," or "Hey, I've broken down," or "I've been arrested and I need this much money sent to me." And it happens all the time, unfortunately. The best advice I can give people is, whether it be someone calling you asking for money, whether it be someone, a friend or a family member, whether it be a company like Microsoft calls you and says that you need to renew your Microsoft Office or you're going to be cut off. Today, our business, not, and I'm not kidding you, 20 minutes before we have this call, I got a phone call from quote unquote QuickBooks saying my credit card for my QuickBooks services has expired. And if I want to continue using QuickBooks, I need to call this number and give them my new credit card. It wasn't QuickBooks. It wasn't their phone number. But yeah, that was a new one for me. That was the first time I've heard of that one. But the
Wow.
best
And
advice I can give people is, don't trust anything coming into you. So if someone calls you, whether it be a friend, a family, or a company, say, "Okay, great. Let me call you right back." Because if you're calling them, then you know it's actually them that you're talking to, as opposed to you trusting that them calling you is actually the person you think it is, or the company you think it is.
in my previous work, I definitely agree. If you have questions, like when working in a legislative office, we would get calls from people like, "Hey, I got this going on. Do you think it's like real? And what's going on?" And we weren't technology experts, but we could definitely do some checking for them. Reach out
Oh yeah,
to
absolutely.
the Secretary of State and say, "Hey, is this the way you guys operate when you reach out to someone?" No, it's not. We could call them and say, "No, this is not the proper way." So it is. It happens everywhere, and I'm sure. I think when we've talked, like sometimes they'll change their like even their email or their website just a little bit
Oh,
where it looks like a
just
normal one.
slightly off. Exactly.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
so it is.
And
It's hard
if
to stay on
if
your
it
toes all
and
the
if it is something on your computer, if you do get a pop-up saying you have a virus or you get a message saying you've got to do this, please bring it into us. We don't charge for stuff like that. Again, like I said before, Mike is our core business, so we don't need to charge customers to just look at things like that. Bring it in. We'd be happy to look at it for you and tell you what you're dealing with before you do something. But we're seeing this. The scarier part is businesses are falling victim to this too. Now, businesses, it's a little different. What we're seeing in businesses is a lot of ransomware. And what ransomware is, one of our clients just got hit with this not that long ago. Ransomware is where they'll send a link or they'll send something that one of your employees may click on and inadvertently run an application. That application encrypts or in other words, locks up all the files on your computer's network. And then now that those files are locked up, you have to pay whomever a ransom to get those files decrypted or unlocked. Now, you see this happening to huge companies, but it happens to small companies as well. Imagine if you're a business owner or you work for a business in as a manager or whatever. What impact would it have on you if all of a sudden every single file on your computer was not accessible anymore, just gone? How would you recover from that? And that's one of the things that Micah Systems specializes in setting down with you ahead of time, because there is no way. Once those files are encrypted, they're gone. There's no antivirus, there's nothing that'll stop it, and there's no way to recover it. Even if you pay the ransom, chances are you're never going to get the files back. It how you prevent it ahead of time, having good backups, having backups offline that aren't connected to the network in any way, because it will also go through and encrypt all your backups too. That's what even makes it worse. But it's also training your employees to know what to look for and know when something is a scam and or something isn't legit coming in. Now they're going one step further than this. On top of just encrypting your files and locking them out from you, they're grabbing copies of them. And then if you don't pay, because so many businesses nowadays are just simply not paying the ransom. So what they're doing now, if you don't pay the ransom, they'll then go one step further and say, we're going to contact all your customers and let them know that we have all of these files all of their personal information. We're going to start contacting them and letting them know how terrible of a company you are. So they're literally trying to hold you for ransom. And some of the things we offer is we come in, look at it, look at your backups, tell you if you're vulnerable or not for something like that. But also, we partnered with a company that does testing for this, where, and it's relatively cheap. We're talking like $2 a month per employee, where they'll send out emails that are fake, what they call phishing attacks, either phishing for, hey, this needs to be renewed. Please type your credit card in or click here's a link from your IT department that you need to change your password. They'll send out these fake emails trying to see if any of your employees actually click on them and actually
wow.
fall victim to some of these scams.
Okay.
And then if they do, it then gives that employee training of, hey, you just clicked on a phishing link or you just clicked on a virus. Here's what you should be looking for. Here's what you should have done. So it not only tests them, but it then trains them of how to avoid it in the future.
So it's one question I'm sure some people have. Is
Mhm.
this something that one of our local Davison businesses could come to you and have Micah Systems help them be more
Oh yeah.
secure in what they're doing? And can a regular resident bring their
Oh yeah.
computer in and just say, "Hey, I need to know what's the best protection for my computer to make sure my information is a little bit more protected. So they can just
Oh, absolutely.
come downtown and
Absolutely.
visit you. Okay.
Yeah, because and where this is because this phishing thing, for example, it's available for anybody. You can go out and get it directly, but the problem is you have to buy a minimum of 100 users in order to purchase it from them. So what we've done is we said, okay, great, we'll buy your 100 users and we'll just resell them a little bit at a time. So we can do that. So whether you have one employee or 10, you're not going to buy this huge license suite to do it with. But yeah, the nice thing about it is these same tools that we set up for businesses, whether it be the offline backups or the backups to different sites out there that can roll back the changes to a point in time if something does get locked up or corrupted, or simply the antivirus for your machine. We can take those same tools that we offer to businesses and offer them to individuals because we can resell them one at a time. But there's a lot of, especially for an individual, there's a lot of free services too that do just as good of a job. I'd love to sit down and just inform people of them as well.
And I think that's something that's great to know. I think that by people coming into a local business like yours, they know that you're going to be honest with them, that you are going to say, hey, this is something we can do, or this is something you can do yourself. You are there to
Exactly.
help educate people. You have two businesses working together in downtown, which is amazing. So that does lead me into one of our questions that I love to hear the most from everyone, because I know what myself and my family love about our community. But Michael, what is one of your favorite parts about the Davison community?
I was drawn here mostly for the schools. I grew up in Flint and moved here probably when my kids first started going to school age. And we moved to Davison originally because of the schools. And I just fell in love with the community and lived here ever since. It's the people. Yeah, every once in a while, yes, you have some controversy every once in a while, as we've seen as of late. But
Oh, yes.
overall, it's a
Mhm.
great community and great people. And for the most part, everybody wants to help each other out. And that's what has drawn us to and kept me in this community.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that is one of the main reasons my wife and I moved here to start our family is one, our schools are amazing. And two, there's so many opportunities just to enjoy our community from events to
Mhm.
local businesses. And I think yours is a great example that makes it a community that supplies so much information to our to our residents, and they didn't know about it. Micah Systems,
Yeah,
come in, talk to. It sounds like you have free classes at the Journey Center that are very beneficial to anybody. Now, I'm sure we as a chamber, when we get the information, we try to share that information, but I know you're sharing it as well
sure.
through social media and in your store. And I noticed that Journey Ministries is sharing it. Pay attention to a lot of information out there to know when these classes are. And Michael, I really do appreciate you taking some time today to not only share how your background grew you into this business that's so unique and very beneficial to our community, and just filling us in on a lot of things that we need to be aware of. I
No,
mean,
absolutely.
from just protecting ourselves, and you think about all the stuff that we do online these days, there's so many little things that we probably need to pay attention to. So if you're our listeners out there, stop by, visit Michael and his team downtown Davison, and I'm sure they would definitely welcome you with a smile and help answer any of your questions. Michael, yeah. So this is Michael Barrette with Mika Systems and also the cell phone repair store downtown. Michael, we really do appreciate you taking some time today and joining the Community Collective podcast.
No problem. I appreciate you doing this.